Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Phil the Conquistadork. As we make our way into 2018, I can't help but think about all of those indie titles from 2017 that got heavily overshadowed by all of the blissful games that came out last year. I mean, there were so many good games. And if there's something that I like to do for indie titles, it's bring them up, to review them, to talk about them, especially ones that I think that maybe people haven't played. And I played a lot of games in 2017, so without further ado, this is the top 10 best games of 2017 you probably didn't play. Man, I waited for years for exactly a game like TERROIR to come about. I have a real love for viticulture and strategy games, so something like this was really up my alley. Sadly, when it was released, I was pretty unimpressed. It felt unfinished, and I relayed that in my review in October. I am very pleased to announce, however, that since then, developers General Interactive have patched the hell out of TERROIR, fixing a lot of bugs and heavily improving the gameplay. It still has a ways to go, but the level of improvement I've seen in this game is enough that I recently spent a lot of time enjoying this one. To anyone who was on the fence about TERROIR before, I'm happy to say that it's definitely worth a look now. With some exceptions, the mobile market remains one of awful free-to-play games, clicker games, MMOs that play themselves, and useless time wasters. Card Thief, on the other hand, was an exception to that rule. With its unique flavor of stealth-based card game, Card Thief has a ton of staying power, and get this, it charges you up front and doesn't require a cent from you afterwards to enjoy it. Such a novel idea. Brilliant. Amazing. 10 out of 10. I doubt that'll catch on the mobile market, though. It's too ahead of its time. But with or without that aspect, however, there's no doubt that Card Thief is a challenging, charming game with a great art style and terrific mechanics. Easily my favorite mobile game of 2017. The digital board game has been gaining some serious traction in previous years, and with good reason. The things you're able to pull off in a more traditional style game when you're able to combine it with the efficiency and parlor magic of a video game can make for some truly wonderful experiences, and Anti-Hero shows those benefits off with some true flair. Like the aforementioned Card Thief, Anti-Hero makes some really creative choices for their genre. Growing and expanding a criminal empire in Victorian London makes for a lot of fun, whether you're playing single player or with others. Blackmail the church, fulfill assassination contracts, and rob your opponents blind on the way to victory. Anti-Hero is fun, engaging, and creative with a distinct artistic style. With its swampy, smeared art style and bleakly difficult strategy, the Shrouded Isle was immediately one of those games that I read about and thought to myself, I have got to play this one. And honestly, what's not to like? Lead a cult while learning about the strengths and weaknesses of your potential acolytes, choose who lives and who takes a knife to the chest in the name of an ancient, Lovecraftian god. The Shrouded Isle stands out as a game that's perfect for fans of horror, strategy, and the madness of a gibbering antediluvian who wants to swallow the world whole. Here it is, ladies and gentlemen. You know you wanted it. The Dark Souls of cooking games. No, not really. It is challenging as hell, though, with or without nightmarish beasties threatening to consume your soul. You do get to bust out some basic kung fu skills against the occasional mugger, though. With its great art style, fun music, and frantic gameplay, Cook Serve Delicious 2 is a worthy successor to its original, published all the way back in 2012. From the looks of it, you might expect this one to be something you can just doze and play at the same time, but Cook Serve Delicious 2 actually requires some concentration to excel in, and it left a fun, frustrating impression on me. how to even describe everything. Is this even a game? I'm genuinely unsure, but either way, everything left me pondering and looking up Alan Watts lectures on YouTube for weeks after playing it. It isn't enough to just play a character in everything. You play, well, everything. Full of questions and ideas about our place in the universe, everything is a gaming experience that is 50% drawn-out philosophical thought experiment and 50% drawn-out philosophical thought experiment. I've heard people calling it the best game of 2017, and I've heard people calling it pretentious and dull. Admittedly, more fall into the former camp, but I think everything is the sort of game that does what it does so well that there was never any doubt that people would end up arguing about it. Maybe that was its whole point the entire time. Combat bowling as designed by Monty Python, Rock of Ages 2 is a trippy game about using boulders to battle against historical figures, religious icons, and famous works of art. It is bizarre and hilarious, with a satisfying control scheme and a huge overworld map full of puzzles and one weird world after another to crush beneath your sphere of granite. This tower defense comedy is jarringly addictive, and the amount of care that went into creating Rock of Ages 2 is obvious. This one is just too much damn fun to pass up. Hell yes, Vampire the Masquerade. My favorite role-playing game has gone fairly underground in the past few years, but with its upcoming 5th edition and a duo of text-based adventures called World of Darkness Preludes, this White Wolf classic is looking to make an impact for those of us who'd rather play pointy-toothed creatures of the night than paladins or wizards, although they're all pretty good, let's face facts. We Eat Blood and All of Our Friends Are Dead is a smart, dark introduction to the world of darkness that is a welcome addition for vampire vets and neonates alike. As the designation of Prelude seems to suggest, this could be the beginning of something much bigger, and after the fun I had in the shadows of this bloodsucker adventure, I can only hope we've got even more on the horizon. To resurrect a long-dead comic book series with a respect for its roots while also creating an engaging experience is a big damn responsibility, but it was clearly something that THQ Nordic and Airship Syndicate were up for. With its beautiful art style and satisfying JRPG mechanics, Battle Chasers Night War is among the most memorable role-playing games of the year. Between the overworld gameplay, the dynamic and interesting loot, and the beautiful character design, this game really stands out. If you're not a fan of the turn-based JRPG style, there's still a lot to love about Battle Chasers. It feels like a classic SNES game with a bolder, more advanced aesthetic. It popped up from time to time on some best of lists, but ultimately this one deserves a lot more attention. Okay, the longer I had this one on my list, the more I started to wonder if Doki Doki Literature Club actually belongs on a list about games you might not have played. Regardless, it became very clear very early on that this twisted and smart visual novel deserves attention. More attention. All of the attention. It has a glitch horror feel and fourth wall breaking narrative that put me in the mind of some of my other favorite indie games in previous years. People who loved Pony Island, Calendula, and Oxenfree will appreciate the meta experience that comes from Doki Doki Literature Club. And horror fans of every stripe need to give this one a go. It's a slow start to a truly bizarre climax, one that leaves you unsettled and amazed. There just aren't enough free-to-play games out there that will make you feel the way that Doki Doki does. It is frightening, creative, and a truly fascinating example of how video games are evolving to address not only the gameplay and the story, but the player itself.
If Daddy don't sink a little drinky, Daddy gets sad and blue. Sneak a little drinky, sneakity-doo. Sneak a little drinky past you. Sneak a little drinky, sneakity-doo. Sneak a little drinky past you.